Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of Yarn and Black. Today I've got a really great friend of mine on, Lee. I'll introduce you to Lee in a second. But first I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm calling in from. I'm here on the land of the Wurundjeri people in Melbourne, Balwyn Q, and I would like to pay respect to their elders past, present, and for those emerging young warriors that are coming through that are going to be our future leaders. And I'd like to thank any other Aboriginal people who have joined us today, including my guest, Lee. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, AJ?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining me. Before we do start, I might just get you to introduce yourself. Who are you? Where you're from?
Ah, well, my name's Lee Townsend, formerly known as Lee Squires. I'm a Dharug woman, so from the Prospect area of Sydney. So I'm a direct descendant of Black Kitty, Warmuli, and I'm a possum woman.
So, awesome. Possum's a totem.
Yes. But I currently live on Biripi country, which is really awesome. And I have spent probably about 20 years on Warmuli country. So, yeah, mid-North Coast.
So for people who don't know where that is, where's that near?
Taree at the moment, yeah, and Foster previously on Warmuli country. So I'd just like to acknowledge too the country that I'm on today, Biripi country, and I'm very thankful for all the gifts that it allows us here. It's just a really beautiful place.
Thank you. And now you run your own business.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that. Where did it start? How did
Yeah, I kind of got two businesses, one more recent than the other. One I've had for, oh my goodness, I think I launched it in 1988 at like the Melbourne Whipsy, if I've got that date right. Or maybe in 2008. 2008 sounds more familiar. Yeah. And yeah, it was always something that I loved, but I suppose it came from the fact that I was a primary school teacher and have been or was for about 23 years. But during that time of working within Aboriginal education areas, I kind of just seen that there was this gap for Indigenous peoples within that space. And so my first business sort of came as a result of that. And so I started writing Indigenous programs for people within different sectors, and that allowed them to, tap into some cultural spaces. And and that was, for a really long time. And then more recently, I've launched Killawarra Dreaming. And so I live at Killawarra, which is on Biripi country. And I had a really big life-changing moment. And but during that period, my artistic skills just kind of blossomed. And for about a decade, I've been drawing just as a side gig, just for myself, just because I really enjoy it. And it's therapeutic and it shuts me down at the end of a day and all of that sort of thing. And I get lost in it. But somehow that really, blew out. And for decades, I've been just putting them in folders and up on a shelf. And I kept just sort of saying during this change, geez, I really hope that these fall on the right eyes, just it'd be really nice that they were in the world. And lo and behold, they did. Somebody's seen them, and another angel come forth and created this incredible website, which I'm incredibly thankful for, and has given me this new start, I suppose. I didn't think it was possible, and here I am now, feeling very gifted and very lucky. Yeah.
And we'll stick a link in to the YouTube channel so people can actually have a look at
Cool.
Yeah. So we met, it's nearly 10 years ago now.
I know.
At the Murra program in Melbourne.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you walked away with from Murra that you still use today?
Oh. I suppose the first thing that come to mind then was, just the relationships that I built while I was there with other Indigenous business owners, and to know that, that it was a really nice space to be within and to meet other people with advice and knowing that I didn't have. So I think I walked away with a feeling of confidence in the relationships that I'd built, and but the program itself was just fantastic. I mean, I'm not trying to plug it in any way, but I think it really gave me a good grounding as a business owner, even though I'd done lots of other training and understood business in, lots of ways. Learning through the Mara program was just really cool. Yeah, I don't know what you thought.
I agree with you. I think that I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
They were having some of the guest speakers come in and think, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I should have known that. I've been doing this for so long and there's an easier way of doing it. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. It was just I think it was what I needed at the time, because I think when I found out about it, I was actually down there doing part of a PhD. I was doing some courses down through Melbourne Uni, and this tall gentleman came in and was talking about Indigenous businesses, and all of a sudden I sort of spoke to him and I said, I think I'm in the wrong space. I said, I think I'm supposed to be in your program. And so it was, all those intertwining moments to be in the right space at the right time to hear about it. But yeah, they're just doing so well. There's so many generations after us now that have been through. So
yeah. Now, you mentioned that you did teaching first.
Yeah.
So what made you want to become a teacher?
Oh, I think I used to play when I was little, I was always wanting to be the teacher, and I was a pretty rough teacher though when I was little, slapping their trays with a ruler, and I don't know what I thought teaching was back then. But I suppose I went into teaching not at that point with a love of children. I went in there wanting to be able to write the programs that I wanted to write, the Indigenous programs, and to be taken seriously. I felt that I needed to understand what it was to be a teacher, and to put these programs into an education system and things like that. And then, you go off and you do a prac and you meet these kids, and then lo and behold, 23 years later, what kept me there, or 20 odd years later, what kept me there were the children. Yeah. It was just this amazing process, that I didn't realize that I would love watching children grow as much as I did, and, sharing in their experience of education. I really, valued that. But I suppose within that space, I still felt that there were gaps, like Indigenous, all children were learning in the same way, which was, not my issue. But there wasn't very much Indigenous space, when I started 20 odd years ago. And I think that's where I felt my programs were important, because it gave teachers and other industries the ability to have, this background knowledge, so people weren't as scared to try things or to be a part of something. And I think over the years things have grown and changed. And, one of the schools that I was in, we have some really forward-thinking principals and forward-thinking teachers now, and so I do see that there was a change. But when I started, I really felt there was a need not only for me to be within the system as an Indigenous person, as a face for the children and family and community that came in, but to also support the teachers and others that were there with, knowledge that might assist them. I always sort of think of it as a dilly bag, and it's just something to add to their dilly bag to pull out when they need it. Or yeah.
Do you think that teachers are still kind of scared to teach Aboriginal perspectives in classrooms?
Maybe a little. I think there are just some really brave people that are just out there doing really incredible things, and they always are saying, I don't know what I don't know, so you talk to me about it. And I really think that that's an amazing dialogue. But maybe there still is, because I think there's still a space for sharing and understanding. And when things are compulsory or pushed down onto people, it doesn't always work. But when a network wants to learn something and wants to understand something different, then, I think there can be real change Yeah, but I think there could be still some scare or fear. I don't know what the word would be. It wouldn't be that. It'd just be the lack of understanding or knowledge on how to be culturally appropriate.
Or do you think it might be the fear I'll get it wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Will I, offend somebody? Will I, and I tell you, over the years, I've upset a lot of people because I didn't know what I didn't know as a young teacher going into schools, and I made mistakes, and my elders definitely let me know that that's not to happen again.
Yeah.
you know.
One thing that has to help us as Aboriginal people is our allies.
Mm.
What makes a good ally?
Mm. I've got somebody specifically in mind as well as I say this because, I think I'll just clarify, like are you sort of saying, an ally that maybe isn't Indigenous but has this Indigenous heart for moving things forward, or ally as in our Indigenous allies, or
Both.
both? Yeah.
Or either.
Because I really feel a really strong sense of Indigenous community. Like we might only make 3% up of the population, but we certainly have our own way of connecting, and we connect over really long distances and long periods of time. Time isn't really a factor, like for us. In that I probably I haven't seen you face to face for 10 years, and yeah, so but time is not of any importance in that situation. But I've certainly seen that there are so many non-Indigenous people that are just so beautiful and are so amazing in wanting to know, do, be. And one person that I've really got in mind at the moment, because she just shines, I tell you, she just says, I don't know what I don't know, help me out. And I think she has made incredible changes within the whole region that she works within, as well as, just as an Indigenous person, as an Indigenous teacher, she always just seemed to have my back in a way that, wasn't tokenistic. She really heard my voice. So you think allies are like that, they hear your voice, it resonates in their heart and it becomes part of their being. And it's not always that what I say, is right or anything like that, but it's listened to.
There's lots of buzzwords going around, and one of the biggest buzzwords at the moment is reconciliation. What does reconciliation mean to you?
Like I always sort of say, like you can't reconcile something that never was. So like a marriage, if people separate in a marriage or something, well, they can reconcile because they were once together as one. Whereas I don't think this country was ever once together as one. And I never really understand it because, we are such a small portion of the population. I don't really understand how such a small proportion of the population can't be recognised or can't be understood. And so, yeah, I suppose I find reconciliation to be the wrong word. I would love a coming together. I would love a space of understanding and just acknowledgement, and not an acknowledgement, a tokenistic acknowledgement, a real acknowledgement of the history of this country, which is so short. It's such a short history since colonisation, but a long history, prior to that. But we kind of just think about the last 200 odd years. I mean, one of the programs that I wrote was called First Feet. And it was an awareness or a knowing program that, lots of people come to Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. And they, it was just about how First Fleet history was here, and then you have First Fleet history. Yeah. And it, versing those two, and just talking about what that looks like. And I suppose reconciliation to me would be a little bit of that. It would be a lot of, that coming together and just looking at first feed history. You know, the first to see the moon, the first to walk this country, the first to, you know, so many firsts, and what that means, and to be proud of that as a country. You know, that's what it would kind of look like to me, that we all had pride in it. And there wasn't these arguments over what day we do what, and, you know, how much we celebrate who, and, you know, that sort of thing. I really feel that the coming together has to be an acknowledgement of that history. And then, you know, nobody can go back. We're not asking for that. We're just asking, I think, to be acknowledged and heard and celebrated.
I like that. I love how you summarized that. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Another buzzword that gets thrown around a lot is cultural safety. Again, what does cultural safety mean to you? But what makes you feel culturally safe when you go to organizations?
I feel culturally safe when I've already got relationships with those that I'm, you know, about to be in a space with. I think it takes time to build relationship, and I think relationship is what's really important. So I feel really safe when I know, you know, how people, I know people sort of on a bit of a deeper level than just, you know, high and by sort of stuff, you know. So I think over a period of time, I think safety builds. You know, it might not be there in the beginning, but I think that, you know, through time and relationship building and knowing that they're true to their word, and, you know, that everything is, I don't know, as it is, as it should be, then I think that might be when I feel most safe. But, you know, I think culturally safe spaces are about people being welcome and seen as individuals. Yeah.
If I could give you a magic wand, and I've got a magic wand here.
Oh, I love it.
As you can see.
Oh, I like that color too.
Yeah. So if I give you a magic wand and $1 zillion, now I don't have $1 zillion lying around.
Oh, please. That's why I'm here. What? Yeah. I thought I was going to change the world.
Yeah. But if you could change the world with that $1 zillion in this wand, what would you want to change?
I would want to change, I suppose, children's safety.
Yeah.
You know, it all starts with, you know, seeing these children grow over the years that I have. I've just been really blessed to see so many innocent little hearts, you know, just growing into the world and becoming educated within different ways, and just watching them grow over the years and things like that. I think
I like that.
Yeah. I think that I would want safety for children, you know, that all safe hearts should be born and then grow that way, and then, you know, maybe better peace for the world because we are bringing peaceful hearts to the table.
One thing that we as Aboriginal people do, we always try to respect elders and we always look up to elders. What makes a person an elder from your point of view?
It's not just that they have knowledge, but they have generosity within themselves to share and to advise and to be, and they're often very respected within community. And it can be somebody that's really quite young, but they bring something to the table that is very mature. They guide many and mentor many others, you know, that might be younger or older than themselves. And I think that, you know, they're leaders within the community, and I suppose, want for another word, might be that they are growing into being elders within that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the knowledge holders and the movers and shakers, and they're on the ground, boots and all. Yeah, and that age varies, I think.
Now I'm going to take you back in time a little bit. But I want to just go back to when you're at school. How much Aboriginal issues were you taught at school?
Oh, interesting, because I grew up in Blacktown.
Oh yeah.
And
I grew up in Bankstown.
oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I went to like Blacktown Girls, and and so I was born in Blacktown Hospital, and then my son was born there as well, and so we were on country for until I became a mother, I suppose, and then my parents had a sea change, and so that's how we sort of ended up this way. Of course, I followed them, like I had a grandbaby, I needed support. And so I came to where his grandparents were, and then we sort of stayed here. But what did you ask me now? What was your question?
Oh my God, I forgot what the question was.
Oh, me too. Hang on a second. No, I won't be able to recall it because I'm already.
That's okay. Well,
oh no, my childhood, my
So
my time at Blacktown. Yeah. Look, I don't think there was very much Aboriginal education at all, or influence, or apart from the fact that we kind of all knew who the other Aboriginal people were within the school system, and we kind of all gravitated towards each other. It wasn't really anything other than that. Yeah.
So I like how you decided to become a teacher, but I also love how you decided to incorporate Aboriginal perspectives, one into the work that you did, but also into the work of others. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if you're going to continue, but I have a reason for why I did that. We had this.
Why did you do that?
Hey?
My question was just about to be, why did you do that?
Why did I do that? Like Indigenous people are being probably what I would say assimilated every day still, because we're still working in non-Indigenous ways in almost every aspect of our life. And like the education system is very much like that. So I suppose I wanted to put that into the education system as a teacher, but I also, and give the children that opportunity, but I also wanted for educators and others within sectors to have the opportunity to have that information, so that, how does a non-Indigenous person start to work in Indigenous ways if they don't understand what they are, or they're not ever introduced to them, or they're not allowed to, so I give these spaces freely to non-Indigenous people where I'm saying, have this as part of your knowing, being and doing, because it's really more of a human thing than it is anything else, and so I suppose I just always thought that if we want change and we want to work in non-Indigenous ways, then non-Indigenous people have to have the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
From what I'm seeing is, I kind of touched on it before, I am seeing many teachers wanting to know, wanting to be able to do it, but still struggle a little bit, as I said before, a bit about, well, where do I start? How do I do this? What would you say to them as a starting point? What should they be starting to do?
I don't know. I've always looked at it through a lens of, and I hope this comes out right, of shins and ings. So like from colonization, right through to reconciliation. Just to understand, we're probably the most policy-driven people that have ever, been within this country. And to look at those, but we really come from a place of ing, like our dreaming, our being, our painting, our knowing, our doing, our being, like all of our ings. And I suppose if we could just understand that, those things are still really important, even though we have these policies and you know, pieces of information and history, to look at the beauty of the, you know, the painting and the, you know, connecting and
Wow. I love that. I,
mm,
I love that. The ings and the what did you say, the Asians?
Asians, yeah. And that was part of what I did with the First Feet, which is really awesome because a community organisation up here on Warmuli country have purchased that program from me wholly and solely, and they are now running it like bigger than I kind of probably could, and they're doing absolute wonders with it. And one of the parts of that is looking through the Ings and Nations lens. And yeah, we come from a place of a lot of ings, you know, our dreaming, our being, our connecting. Mm.
I love that. I love that. I'm just watching the time, so I've only got a couple of
Yeah.
questions, and one is, where do you see yourself in your business in the next 5 years?
Um, you know, it's really interesting because I don't often forward forecast. And in a business, you know, they say that's really important too. You know, I think it'll be what it will be, and I'll be okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always hope that, you know, obviously for the best. And I think that, you know, in the 20 years that I've been in business, it's been the same. And I have, you know, I've had a ripple effect that has just been really lovely, and I'm in a happy place. And so whatever it brings me, I'll be content with. Yeah.
My last question is what would you like people to walk away with from our conversation today?
Um, I don't know. Happiness is important,
Yeah,
and just being true to yourself
yeah.
with where you are and, you know, what part of your life you're in. Because I think as I'm getting older, I just have more time to think and reflect, and than I did when I was younger. And, you know, because everything was busy, you know, I had to put a roof over our head and food on the table and all of those things. And so, yeah, I think if you take more time just to be kind to yourself, yeah, because life is ever changing, you know, and it's it's a
We
good
don't
part, it's a good thing to be a part of.
know what's around the corner, so it's about looking after
Yeah,
yourself in the now.
yeah,
We
yeah,
get the chance.
yeah. I'm really lucky. I live off the grid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel, and I come kicking and screaming, I tell you. I did not want this lifestyle, and now I'm here. I live smaller, you know, everything's just a little bit more basic, and I like that. Yeah. I didn't think I would. I thought I was a 5-star hotel type girl, but apparently not.
That's all right. You're doing real well. You're looking fantastic and looking
Thank you
fantastic.
very well. So are you. So are
Like,
you.
it's actually like when we first met, you haven't changed at all.
Maybe it's the camera. I don't know. It could have like a filter on. I don't know. No, I don't. I wouldn't even know how.
I've filtered us down, so we're
Thank you.
back to 2015. Look, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me this morning. And guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next podcast. And thanks, Lee.
Thank you so much. Take care, brother.